You're welcome back to my channel. Let's watch these videos from all over the internet that's going to make us question everything. Let's just start.
You ever wonder why banks look like temples? It's because they are. Same blueprint, same spell. The Khazarians didn't invent the system, they just hijacked it. Babylon was the prototype. Sigils on tablets. Laws written by gods. Debt as a curse. They turned trust into contracts, gold into paper, and energy into interest. The body became a number, the soul a barcode, the nation a ledger. What used to be sorcery is now just policy. And every generation deeper in debt, that's the ritual. This isn't capitalism, this is spiritual capture with receipts. If you want out, you don't just unplug, you unbind. We have to burn the contracts and take back our consent. If you need help doing this, the link's in my bio. Hit me up.
Hate all you want, but this right here is the peak male form. The endgame of evolution and natural selection's strongest soldier is the proboscis monkey, and it is the most interesting monkey in the world. Chances are, you've never seen one in a zoo. I think it's so the simian sex symbol doesn't destroy every man's body image. I also believe the facial flesh sac amplifies their calls. Go ahead, look up the sound proboscis monkeys make. It's not what you think. As you can see, the monk with the trunk is built different. Breaking down all those leaves is why the Nariz warrior has a pot belly. Also, their nickname is Orang Balanda, which is a Malay word for Dutchman. Jury's on who exactly should be offended. They also have webbed feet, and that's cause not only are they arboreal, the sinus soldier can swim. One of the underappreciated rough drafts of nature, and one of the many you can see on National Geographic's Underdogs, a show about animals that don't get talked about nearly enough. And you can catch him and that beak on Underdog, streaming now on Disney Plus and Hulu. The more you know.
This is how you steal people's energy and have more power in the world. You will become more powerful, a better version of yourself if you do this one thing correctly. Listen closely. Everything in your life that you've wanted will happen if you follow the rule that comes with this responsibility. This is the secret of all the politicians, all celebrities, everybody of power and influence knows this and you don't. Listen up. Manifesting more love into your life is easy once you know how to focus your intention. Now, if you follow me, you understand I talk about raising your energy a lot and shifting yourself from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. You realize that energy is the real currency of the universe and your emotions give off different energy. And love is one of the highest vibrations. I want you to comment love right now. Comment, type it out right now. Soak this in your brain. Type out love right now. And your attention and your focus is being hijacked by all your impulses. And understand that what you focus on grows. Your focus and intention is everything. You need something where you can turn off all the screens, all the electronics, and sit down and focus on one thing. One of the ways to do this is through fire, through a candle. When you sit there and focus on an intention and look at the flame, there's something that happens with your brain. You can put yourself into a trance and focus on one thing. Now, putting all of this together, an intention, a mantra, manifesting love, and the flame, that's exactly all of this together is what this manifesting love candle is. And I've created this for you, KatoJack.com, to set your intention. If you go to KatoJack.com right now, screenshot this, get one of these manifesting love candles that has a mantra on it. That way you can sit down, focus your intention, hypnotize yourself with a trance through the flame like I told you about, and you can turn off all your distractions. This is your symbol for sitting down, setting your intention. That way you won't get distracted. You have a real symbol, like a sigil, a physical sigil that represents one thing. You're not going to get up and lose your focus or scroll to another video. This is a physical symbol that you're setting your intention with a mantra. You need this in your life. You're losing out if you don't have a physical sitting down, lighting the flame, reciting the mantra. It becomes a ritual. Go to KatoJack.com, access it right now, scroll down, you'll see it on the site. Grab your sigil candle right now.
The reality is, when we go to the beach, sharks are around us far more than we're even aware of. Take these two people, for example, who are completely unsuspecting and never even realize that they have this large great hammerhead within arm's reach of them. Now, to many of you, this would be extremely unsettling, and I understand that. But to me, it's comforting, because the reality is, for as high a degree of spatial overlap that there is between humans and sharks, there are very little antagonistic encounters unprovoked. So that means, to me, the key to human-shark coexistence is not avoiding sharks completely and never going to the beach ever again in your life, but realizing that sharks really are not interested in us. They have other things on their mind. They have way better things to do than bother us. So if we don't bother them, everything's going to be fine. So just keep that in mind. Do what suits you, but
Crazy.
We are back again with another episode of Men Whose Downfall Was Lust. And unfortunately, this downfall does end in a death. If you don't know this brother behind me, his name is Steve McNair. Steve was the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and he won MVP of the league in 2003. Steve even led his team to the Super Bowl where the receiver was just a yard short of winning the game. Steve did have a wife and kids, but as you could guess, with him being so young and successful, a lot of temptation came with it. Now, I'm unsure if him and his wife were separated, but Steve was known to have multiple girlfriends. And I don't know if TMZ was a new thing or if he just didn't care, but if he out and about with the side piece like that, that mean it's pretty serious. At least this is what she thought. This is Jenny, one of Steve's side pieces. Steve met Jenny at the local Dave & Buster's. She was his waiter, and that's how it all started. Now, of course, Jenny works at Dave & Buster's, so she's struggling financially. She's not in the position Steve is in. She's actually living with her ex-boyfriend. And I don't know if Steve was telling her stuff or if she just got adjusted to the lifestyle, but she didn't think she was Steve's side piece. She thought she was the main. So for reasons I don't know why, Steve went over to her house, I guess to have a conversation, and ended up falling asleep on the couch. I don't know if they were arguing. I would assume they were, but Jenny was in some type of rage because she actually ended up shooting Steve 4 times and then turning the gun on herself. Now you tell me, what makes a millionaire quarterback start dating a 20-year-old waiter, start taking her on trips, go to her neighborhood, which looked like the ghetto, and fall asleep on her couch after an argument? What could make a sane man do that? Lust.
What is one piece of information that you think everyone should know?
This is where we're going to talk about consciousness. Consciousness seems to be the foundation for the phenomenon. That is how humans perceive the phenomenon and how the phenomenon perceives humans. There seems to be a consciousness aspect to this. Aside from the nuts and bolts, even though UAPs may not have any nuts or bolts on the craft, but we call it that, but the structured craft, aside from the structured craft, that's just physics. That's just mechanical engineering. That's just material science. That can be all figured out. But how it works, there seems to be a consciousness aspect to it that we don't quite understand. And I'm hearing that more and more, particularly the way the phenomenon communicates with certain individuals and the way individuals can communicate with the phenomenon. So you have the human initiated contact, the heist. You can have that, or using psionics, as Jake Barber's team is doing, to lure the craft down. That's a real thing because the Russians have already done it.
Do you think that that's... Because that to me sounds so insane, because I just struggle with that concept. Because if you were an intelligent species, arguably vastly more intelligent than the people who are quote unquote summoning you or inviting you, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. Like I these aren't fish. These are intelligent things. Surely they know that if they get in range, they're going to be taken down by some microwave cannon. Like, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think that these intelligent beings would be willing to put themselves in a situation a second time to be drawn in. And to me, this, only my opinion, but seems like we might be interacting with some type of system rather, because if you simulate war games and these things start appearing, that doesn't seem like an intelligently controlled thing it seems like a system. It seems like some type of immune response to our games that we're putting out there, Because again, I don't think so. That's where I struggle with all of that. But you said that the Russians are doing this.
Well, the Russians have done it. Yeah, they've done what Jake Barber is doing now.
Mm-hmm.
They've already done it. And
where does that information come from?
It comes from a major general in the Russian Air Force, retired. He said that they were able to lure UAP down. And then when it came down, they were able to interact with UAP just by body movements and thought.
Okay. And lure them in how? Using psionics or using nukes?
No, not nukes. No, it was like they were using electromagnetic signals.
And frequencies and
yeah, certain frequencies. I would say that 3 gigahertz is a magic frequency. For some reason, they respond to 3 gigahertz. The radar I talked to you about before, Neiman P, that is an S-band radar. It works just below 3 gigahertz. It's a very wideband signal, below 3 gigahertz. It seems to be, and the craft followed by the RB-47 that the late Dr. James McDonald wrote about. The RB-47 being a reconnaissance aircraft, they detected with their onboard signals collection systems a 3 gigahertz signal coming from that. That they followed.
Interesting.
There were 2 radars at White Sands testing the V2, and those radars, the SCR 587, they were called. It's a 3 gigahertz signal.
Interesting.
So 3 gigahertz for some reason seems to be the magic wavelength, frequency rather.
Yeah, or dog whistle.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But according to this Major General, Alexeyev, they were able to lure down these craft and interact with them.
I mean, I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah.
And I wish them the best. I hope that this is something that can be made public and can be shared with everybody.
Yeah, and I have classified sources documenting
interactions,
that type of interaction, but I can't talk about it because
it's classified.
Well, it is classified, and I kind of alluded to it in previous interviews. I laid it all out for the Age of Disclosure film that I did not appear in, but I participated in the making of that film. They ran up against a time constraint, and so they had to cut 4 hours down to something that would fit at the Southwest
90 minutes
conference. Yeah. And so I was able to corroborate that, what they did, and explained it a little further, but I'm hesitant to do it now because that film provided us with a top cover, that if I say that when there's now Secretary of State on there and senators and congresspeople and these other high-level officials like Jim Clapper all saying things like that.
Yep.
I felt more comfortable saying that.
Crazy.
Let us summarize and review where we are so far in the story. So there are 3 major forces that are pushing the United States towards war with Iran. The first is the Israel lobby.
Okay.
Remember that the Israel lobby is composed of both Jewish interests as well as Christian interests, right? Representing the Jewish interest is something called AIPAC. And they have a membership of about 100,000. But they're very wealthy. There are many billionaires in this group. So this group has financial power. In fact, AIPAC is considered the second most powerful lobbying organization in the United States. The first is the pensioners, okay? There's about 30 million of them. And their lobbying organization is the most powerful. But AIPAC is second. But also in the Israel lobby are the Christian Zionists, right? So for example, the organization Christians United for Israel has 7 million people in its membership. So together, the Christian Zionists and AIPAC are extremely powerful force in government. And they want a war in the Middle East in order to advance Israel's interests. Also remember that America is now addicted to empire, because empire represents easy money. All money has to be channeled through the U.S. And so there are many people in the US who just basically make their money by speculating on money, okay? So for example, Wall Street. And that has made Wall Street extremely powerful right now in US politics. And the third force is Saudi Arabia. Remember that in our discussion of Saudi Arabia, we learned that the major conflict in the Middle East is actually not between Israel and Iran, but between Saudi Arabia and Iran. For Israel, Iran is a security threat because it supports Hezbollah and Hamas. But for Saudi Arabia, Iran represents a threat to its very existence. Okay? So Saudi Arabia must resolve the Iran problem soon. Right? Now, how these three forces manifest themselves is through Trump. Okay? So basically, Trump is their champion. And privately, there's a man named Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law. He's married to Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump. Okay? And Jared Kushner happens to be very good friends with both Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the leader of Israel, as well as Mohammed bin Salman, who is the leader of Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Now, Jared Kushner's father, Charles Kushner, was a very prominent sponsor of AIPAC. In fact, when Benjamin Netanyahu comes to stay in the United States, he lives with the Kushner family. So one night, Benjamin Netanyahu had to stay in Jared Kushner's bedroom, and Jared Kushner had to sleep in the basement. Okay, that's how close they are. And Jared Kushner is friendly with MBS, the leader of Saudi Arabia, so friendly that when Jared Kushner started a private equity fund, Saudi Arabia invested $2 billion. Okay, so through Jared Kushner, these three forces are able to exert influence on Trump. As we also discussed, it's very likely that Trump will become president of the United States again in November, and he will pick Nikki Haley as his VP. And that means that Nikki Haley will be the one in the Trump White House pushing for war against Iran. As we discussed, Nikki Haley makes most of her money from the Israel lobby, okay? The anti-Iran lobby. We know from the first Trump administration that these forces are able to exert tremendous influence on Trump, okay? And the evidence is, one, Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal that would have secured peace between the United States and Iran, okay? Trump moved the United States embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem in Israel, which was a major, which caused major friction in the Middle East, okay? We also know that Trump ignored the fact that MBS killed a journalist, okay? So we also know that Trump has been very friendly with Saudi Arabia. We also know that Trump sponsored the Abraham Accords, which is trying to bring peace between Israel and other Arab countries and unite them against Iran, okay? The last thing that Trump did, which is the most important, is that in January 2020, Trump ordered the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani, who is the leader of the who is the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Okay? So from all this, we can suspect that in a second Trump term, war with Iran will be a major priority. Okay. So is this clear so far? All right.
Breaking news. Trump just banned all permanent residents from leaving the U.S. If you are abroad now, you can't come back. This isn't just about illegal immigration anymore. Trump's new executive order affects everyone. Green card holders are stuck in the U.S. Legal residents are locked out. Your family vacation becomes illegal. The New York Times leaked the White House draft. 45 countries are now on Trump's red list, implementing extreme entry restrictions on their citizens. Even if they have valid visas, even if they have lived here for decades, 8.7 million permanent residents, suddenly unable to visit dying parents overseas, can't attend their weddings abroad. Trump claims this is to protect American jobs, but economists say it's economic suicide. Tech companies lose foreign talent. Hospitals lose specialists. Universities lose top researchers. The real question that bothers everyone, is this about security or is it killing the American dream?
This nigga was in the army, like the Navy or some shit up in Russia, right? He was a soldier. And his pops, and his mom, which is Vladimir Putin's mom, she was a chef. So his mom was in the Navy, his dad was in the Navy, his mom was a chef, right? They got a rare audio of his dad talking. This is why I said Iran would never come over here. This is why no country out of the 206 countries in the world right now, none of them would ever put boots on the ground in America. Vladimir Putin's dad, mind you, he's a soldier, a foot soldier out there in Russia. He said it will be suicidal for any country, any nation to evade America with boots on the ground. For the simple fact,
I agree.
They gun laws are so lax.
Yes.
You will have a war in every city before you get to the actual. You have a battle in every city before you get to the actual war. No country in America has guns in civilians' hands like the United States, squad. No country. If they come over here, we popping shit. They getting shot from apartment buildings, houses. You got these KKK, you got gangbang. It's not cracking, squad.
That's true, man.
That shit is not cracking.
Crazy. So accurate. I agree.
You said that's why they got nukes. No, I'm just saying how America can hit these countries and put boots on the ground. We not getting evaded by nobody, squad. By nobody, bro. Texas alone has the most lax gun laws in the country. The state of Texas alone, listen to me, we are in the country. Texas is in the United States. The state of Texas alone is bigger than the whole country of France.
Oh, really? Really?
These motherfuckers won't even get through Texas, bro, let alone the other 49 states. You know what I'm saying? And it's a thing called, this what a lot of people like. It's crazy. If you put 10 people in the room, probably 1 or 2 of them know this. And I'm not calling nobody dumb. Y'all know I hate calling people dumb or somebody smarter than the next person. It's just that our memory be better. You know what I'm saying? And so what I remember, which is facts. If you put 10 people in the room right now, only 1, 2, or maybe 0 of them know anything about war crimes. They think if the United States beef with China, so to speak, right? The United States beef with China. We can do anything to them since it's war to get them out the fucking picture. It's not that, bro. It's not that.
What is a fact or statistic that seems fake but is real?
There was a man in Australia who was in a truck accident, survived it, but suffered a heart attack as a result, went to the hospital, was pronounced dead. Then about 14 minutes later, they revived him, but then he went into a coma. 12 days later, he comes out of the coma, and then eventually he ends up playing the lottery and winning. And then a Melbourne news station decides to cover his story. And so while they're filming a reenactment of him winning the lottery, he purchases another scratch-off ticket and wins again.
Hey, y'all seen this? What? Watch this video right now, man.
5 snacks slowly poisoning you. They're everywhere, from school lunches to gas stations. But these foods, they're silently wrecking your health from the inside out. Watch this before your next bite. 1. Fruit roll-ups. No real fruit involved. Just corn syrup, sugar, and artificial colors. These sticky snacks coat your teeth and cavities and spike your insulin. 2. Hostess cupcakes. They never rot, and that's the problem. Contain propylene glycol, also found in antifreeze, trans fats, and shelf-stable chemicals. 3. Flaming hot Cheetos. These are pure acid for your stomach. The combo of spice, citric acid, and red 40 has sent kids to the ER with gastritis. 4. Capri Sun. It's not just juice, it's a sugar bomb. One pouch can have as much sugar as a soda. Plus, it's stored in pouches that may leach chemicals when exposed to heat. 5. Hot Pockets. They're fast, but full of fats. Inside, processed meats, fake cheese, and hydrogenated oils that increase your risk of heart disease.
And this is why we say you need to take Max Colon Cleanse formula from blackveganshop.com. Comment detox and we will DM you the link to your inbox ASAP.
Or visit blackveganshop.com to order. Save this video and share it with a loved one because I'm trying to help y'all asses out.
Somebody who used to be in the CIA was recently saying that they would take somebody with anxiety over somebody without it. And as somebody who studies clinical psychology, I would say I absolutely agree with this. You find that people who have moderate levels of anxiety or mild rather than debilitating levels can actually read rooms, read situations. They can be more creative because they're more detail oriented, they're more sensitive, and they're able to channel that awareness into something that's productive. So it's all about how you channel that energy and not let it take over you so it can become a superpower if you let it.
This is how Americans were being fired into Iran or into Israel. This is crazy. This is a lot. That was a lot of rockets.
Will President Trump be the next president of the United States? Yes. Once Trump is the president of the United States, will we go into World War III? Yes. Are we going to continue to see massive inflation? Yes. Are we in danger? No. Is Trump being the president of the United States what America needs as a great reset? Yes.
Okay.
If
Do you believe in this though?
Harris wins the presidency, will we go into this reset? No. Now, will we experience more financial freedom? No. Is the economy going to crash either way? Okay, so the apprehension of it all, is it not necessarily a crash, but a restructure? Okay, so America is going to be a different America as we know it. Yes. Are women in danger? If Trump gets in office, are women in danger? Yes. Will it go to a more heavily patriarchal society or agenda? Yes. Is this what America needs? No. But is this what America is choosing? Sheesh.
Now, I want you to look and tell me if you can see it in her face, and then listen to what she says.
How are you? You look phenomenal. Thank you. I'm doing great, but honey, you look like a super fun tonight. Thank you. So what is a secret detail to your look tonight that no one else knows, only you know about?
Well, this was based on the, I need my phone because I don't want to get anything wrong.
No, that's okay.
Anyway, it's paying homage to the Yoruba culture and the women who, paid honors to a deity. They wore white because it represented transformation and spirituality, and that's where I am right now.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm at peace. I fought for the peace that I found now.
She's not at peace.
Want to shut the plate?
Germany and Britain to buy expensive and crappy American weapons. Remember the military-industrial complex, right? The entire point is not to fight the Russians. The Russians are just a pretext and excuse. The real purpose is to get the Europeans to buy expensive American weapons. It's really a shakedown, okay? All right. So all around the world, there's protests about what's happening in the Middle East, right? These are huge protests, protesting what's happening in Gaza today. But ultimately, it's not going to matter, all right? Why? Because America's an empire. It's a mafia state. It needs to destroy Iran in order to maintain its power, okay? So Americans want the trappings of empire. They also want to feel virtuous. That's why there's conflict right now. Over time, as America becomes poorer and poorer, and more desperate, this virtue will go away. And the raw, brutal power of America will express itself throughout the world. And this will eventually lead us to the final conflict, the war between Iran and the United States. Iran has been preparing for a long time, okay? Ever since 1979. America's been preparing for a long time. This conflict is World War III. I cannot overstate how brutal this conflict will be. It will lead to fundamental changes in the world. Our lives will never be the same again. Everything that we've known in the past is now gone forever. And we have to prepare for a new future. So, I leave you with a message, okay? I know that this class has been depressing. You've been with me for a year now. It's been very depressing, okay? Because we've gone into the heart of darkness of humanity. And I know that the world looks more and more terrible. But remember this, okay? And this is my final message to you.
I believe that they are the ones in charge. That's why they mingle amongst us. And I believe they want us to reach a spiritual level somehow. There was a talk about souls. They were interested in our soul somehow. How do we have a soul? How does this container hold the soul? That was a strange conversation. I thought, man, that's just weird stuff people talk about in this base.
Well, that is critical. This is the most critical of all the subjects that you have mentioned. Can you describe where you were and who you were talking with or listening to about the containers and the souls?
I was sitting outside of my office, smoking a cigarette at the table with all the guys from the 732nd, the communication guys that listen to people talk. There was a couple of officers there. There was a first lieutenant and a second lieutenant, and then I believe there was a lieutenant colonel. They were talking about how these beings from another planet were interested in our soul. How did our soul get in our body, and how could they extract our soul? How did it fit? Could they move the soul to another vessel? Stuff like that. It was like, it was crazy, but I just listened and it started to make some sense that these beings from another planet are interested in our soul. And how is it in the container? And they could repair our containers and do all kinds of stuff to us, but they couldn't get our soul. They wanted to know how to capture the soul.
And the person telling this knew this information because why?
Because he worked in the Cunilla Tunnel, and he was one of the officers that listened to otherworldly communications, and he had, I think it was 18 years of service in intelligence. So when you get to a certain level of intelligence, you've already been around the block and been a lot of places. So he knew firsthand that they were looking to find out how to get our souls out of our body, if they could capture our soul. It was very interesting to them.
And did this person who was talking, who was working in the Cunilla Tunnel, say that that implied that the humanoids in charge of the Greys and the ones that had made these 4 experiments of standing up primates, of which we Homo sapiens sapien are the 4th, that those humanoids do not have souls?
Didn't say anything like that, but you know what? It made you wonder, how are they so interested in our soul? I don't know. He didn't say. He just said they were extremely interested in our souls, and that this was an Earth school. We were on an Earth school. Our souls were in school. Somehow this is where our souls came to learn. And they wanted to know how to get our souls, for the knowledge of the souls or something that we've learned in this lifetime, this incarnation. Supposedly we reincarnate.
That's right.
I guess we pick our own lives and we made you forget.
That was really scary.
Kick it! Kick it! Alright, jump out! Move! Fucking little bitch!
What? Was if Iran were to launch a nuclear attack on Israel, what would our response be? And I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. And I want them to understand that, because it does mean that they have to look very carefully at their society, because whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them.
On Friday, Iranian cleric Ahmed Katani.
This right here is one of the most terrifying images on the internet, because it tells the story of your life. What you believe about your reality is just a bunch of stories that you've been told that you accepted as true, and I prove it. Right now your brain is telling you that these dots are moving in a circle, but they're not. They're moving in a straight line, and here's the proof. Now you see, your perception has been altered, so you think they're moving in a circle, but the reality is they're all moving in a straight line. And this is why you're probably creating a life that you don't want, with your past, your pain, and your so-called limitations. So if you feel like you're drowning, remember, you don't have to stay loyal to the lie. It's all a game of perceptions. So change your inputs, change your attitude, and you can change your results.
I told you on the 31st, I said, the countdown begins now. Throughout the presidency of Donald J. Trump, during these days, prepare yourself. Make sure you're living for the Lord. Make sure you're telling others about Him. Warn your friends and family members. Let them know the day of the Lord is approaching, and approaching fast. Trump is a sign. It's not unusual for many to think these warnings have been given before in the past by different preachers through the years. Well, what if this time it matters? What are you gonna do if you didn't prepare yourself and it turned out it mattered? What are you gonna do? If at the end of the presidency, nothing significant like I'm sharing with you happens, you can go on a holiday. That will mean you have extra time to play with.
If this president is thinking about putting us in a position where we're in a war with Iran, the consequences will be absolutely unacceptable and tragic in terms of the young men and women who are American soldiers who would be sent and deployed into something that was completely avoidable. In a Harris administration, we wouldn't have gotten ourselves into this mess. I have good reason, based on everything we know publicly, to suspect and to be concerned that his motivation is more out of self-interest than it is the interest of the American people. You know, I'm traveling our country and meeting with the families who are sending their sons and daughters to these endless wars. And this president better take very seriously any threat that he makes to enter us into another war and send our young men and women into battle.
Sleeper cells are designed to stay invisible. They don't look like threats, they look like us. That's what makes them dangerous, and that's why awareness matters. You don't need to live in fear. You need to pay attention. The smallest detail, a pattern, a shift, a message, can stop something before it starts. In a world of hidden threats, your awareness is more powerful than you think. Stay alert, stay calm, because when you see something and say something, you don't just protect yourself, you protect everyone around you.
Crazy.
עזוב את הדגל!
הלו! הלו, אדוני!
עורב!
היי!
אנרכיסט! הלו! עזוב את הדגל, בחייאת! אני בשוק! עורב! מה? אני בהלם. אני בשוק.
Elon Musk is about to make people bloody fucking rich. Look at this shit. This is the Robotaxi, and it officially launched today. A fully autonomous Tesla car, and I'm telling you right now, the Tesla stock is gonna go fucking bananas when this shit takes over Uber, because it will. Cars drive themselves, you could buy one right now. It can make money for you while you sleep. I'm telling you, the future is Robotaxi. You get in, you click your destination, you just fucking go. No more $100 Uber, no more weird motherfucking Uber drivers or any of that shit. Just get in a car by yourself and it's gonna drive you. Watch the stock go fucking crazy, dude. You know, are you buying one of these shits? And be on the IG, I'll keep you updated.
They tell you about God flooding the earth, and tell you that the people were wicked and evil, but they don't tell you why the people were wicked and evil. What led to the people being wicked and evil? And it just wasn't Eve biting the apple. That didn't lead to all mankind going astray. It was the teachings of the fallen angels. The stuff that people are starting to learn today and say that this is who we are, this is what we're supposed to be. Those teachings were the teachings that led God to destroying the earth. So I feel like this is a big part of our history that is left out, and is left out because knowing it would stop a lot of people from being led astray. Knowing the truth behind enchantments, the precious metals and stones, and knowing orbit of the moon and the sun and the clouds and astrology and all of these things. You get what I'm saying? That we learn today thinking that this is good stuff. That these are the things that actually made God destroy the earth. And I feel like that's very important.
Jesus' disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will all this happen? What sign will signal your return and the end of the world?" Jesus told them, "Don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. But all this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come.
Damn.
Then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold."
They are literally putting it in our face what is about to happen, guys. Watch this clip.
70% of millionaires are self-made. I used to think maybe did they just get lucky? And then 68% of millionaires have some form of ownership. If you don't have, you're probably never going to be free financially.
Why? Because the best way to protect your assets is to not own them in the first place. But how can you own nothing on paper but still be in control of all your assets? Well, the answer to this, and the secret the ultra-rich have been trying to hide from you for centuries, are trusts. A trust is a separate legal entity, just like a limited company. By transferring your assets into your trust, you can legally separate yourself from your assets. Now, the key is you appoint yourself as a beneficiary of the trust. This means that you can still benefit from all the assets that are owned by the trust as if they were yours. For example, you don't own your house, you just live in it. So if you get sued, for example, and they want to take your house, they can't, because on paper the trust owns it. Here's what hit me hard. If I had this book back in 2024, I would never have ended up $300,000 in debt. The book is called The Only Living Trusts Book You'll Ever Need. It walks you through setting up your own asset protection plan in just 72 hours. No need to give up the things you love. No need to live on scraps. It shows you how to truly control your wealth, break free from the system, and make your money work for you, even even while you sleep. Don't let your wealth slip away. Click the link and grab your copy. Start protecting your future now.
And we've come to the end of today's video. It felt a little bit weird, but then yeah, we've come to the end. I mean, we just did it, and I feel excited about showing up and just putting a video out there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends. Adios amigos. Bye.